Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time since I picked up this camera and recorded a video. It feels like I say that every single time I do it. I gotta be more consistent, but I've been so busy with fucking work, sales calls, making a lot of money, traveling the world. I'm actually in Toronto right now, in St. Regis Hotel. It's like midnight. I'm recording this video. I was actually looking at my YouTube channel really recently, and I was looking at the first video I actually posted a long time ago, and in that video I was, making 20-25K a month. I was basically, recording the video from a bedroom. Fast forward a year later, we've cleared over like 10 million in info sales, done 100K months in commission, gonna make over $1 million this year in commission only. And to say those words out loud is kind of crazy, but I've retrospectively looked at my whole journey, and I've realized that, in the sales space, there's so many things that you're gonna see, so many things you're gonna come across that are just gonna really inhibit you in your ability to actually become the best sales rep possible. One of the biggest things I actually noticed in newer sales reps who are starting their sales careers is how money hungry, how obsessed people are with just a number. In life, you're gonna make money. You're gonna have 1 month where you have your craziest month, but after that, you have to have something deeper than just making money. There has to be a different thing that drives you other than just making a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, I love money. Money's changed my life. I do everything I want, when I want, buy my mom whatever she wants. But the biggest thing for me, and this is for any sales rep, is the biggest thing that you should chase is your pursuit of success, just being the number one in anything you do, because once you chase success, money is a byproduct. Money will just follow you wherever you go. People have the wrong mentality, have the wrong mindset when it comes to starting something. People think they have an inherent right to make a bunch of money from the get-go with no real skin in the game, no real experience, no real not earning their stripes. I always say, if you're a beginner salesperson and you expect to make 5-10K a month, right off the bat, you're just deluded. You have the completely wrong mentality coming into it. I went months without even making a single cent. I actually remember the first sales gig I had I was basically on one of the most cooked offers in the space, 60, 70 SDRs, all fighting and dialing for scraps. And I didn't make a single cent for the first few months. Once I set my first deal, my whole mindset changed. I just realized I'm built for this. I'm made for this game. Because you have to have a really strong mind to be in sales. If you don't have a strong mind, you're not going to make it anywhere. Not even just in sales, in life in general. If you want to make it to the top, I always say sales skills are one thing, right? You can teach someone how to be a good sales rep. You can teach them what to say, how to talk, but you can't teach someone's mentality or their mindset. They have to have an inherent, drive in them to make it to the top. And I think a big part of that comes from my background in sports. For me, the biggest thing that I've been able to leverage in my sales career, and that's made me so successful, is because I've never tried to be anybody but me. I'm unapologetically me, and I see so many people try to act in a certain way. You just see a bunch of sales reps who sound the fucking same, who talk the same, who act the same, who move the same, and they all do this with their fingers, and they do them you know what I'm talking. They do this shit with their hands, and it's just most of the people that you speak to on sales calls, they've been on sales calls before, and the reason they don't buy from you is because you sound like everyone else. You sound like you're reading off a script. You're literally just trying to be a therapist to them. And people develop sales resistance towards past experiences they've had that have not ended up in a good way for them, and that's why people lose so many deals, because they just sound the fucking same. The biggest thing I did, and I was very lucky, is I learned from the best straight away. I never joined any sort of, course or mentorship to really learn off somebody. I had a mentor of mine who taught me. He was my sales manager, and he taught me all the right fundamentals, all the right things to just be yourself and act like yourself. Don't try to be anybody that you're not. But once you understand that if you're the best you, nobody can defeat you. Literally nothing can touch you, nothing can stop you. I've always had this mentality in my life, not even in my career, in my life, that I'm better than everyone. And I know it sounds kind of cocky, but it's about having that belief in yourself. And I truly believe nothing can stop me. I truly believe that everything I touch will turn to gold. And I talk to myself. I look at myself in the mirrors. Some mornings I tell myself these things, and I've tricked my mind into believing that I am him, and I act like him. And when I'm on calls, people they take that conviction, that confidence, and there's people out there who tell you to close a deal, you have to talk a certain way and say a certain thing. But the thing about it is there's so much pollution in the sales space that people, they almost get brainwashed into thinking they have to be a certain way to make a certain amount of money, which is not the case whatsoever. If you want to make a lot of money, sales is the lowest entry thing you could do to make a bunch of money. Like, I've got no college degree, never went to university. I just barely scraped by high school, by the way. I just scraped by high school. The 3 things that will take you to the next level in your career is, the first thing is your willingness to learn, right? Your willingness to feedback. See, a lot of guys who start their careers, they can't take feedback. They can't take criticism. And that's the biggest thing. That's one of the biggest things that's going to hold you back, is your inability to take on feedback. When I was, a rookie, I was working with seasoned veterans, and all I wanted to do was be a sponge and learn from the best, right? Obviously, I had my own personality, I had my own, flair towards stuff, but I always wanted to pick up on little things that people would do to become the best person, to become the best salesperson I could possibly be. That was the first thing. So, the second thing is your work ethic. Work ethic, again, I can't. I can teach you how to be a good sales rep. I can teach you how to speak well. I can't teach you to work hard. Just to give you guys some context, in the last 2 years of my career, I have not taken a single full day off. People could think that's sad or whatever, and they're gonna ask me like, oh, how have you not been burned out? When somebody tells you they're burned out, it means they're not making money. It means they're poor. Burnout is just, it's just code for people who are underperforming and are just shitting the bed. They just use burnout as a cop-out. If you're the top performer, if you're the Don Corleone, if you're the one making all the money, you can't burn out. Burnout doesn't exist. And if anybody ever tells you they're burning out, they're just coping. That's another thing also. The work ethic is huge, right? Like, I don't take any days off. I work harder than everyone else. Even though I make more money than most people that I come across, I work 10 times as hard. Because for me, like I said before, the money's one thing, but the success is what I chase. The success is what feeds me, what gives me energy. It just, I don't know, I just feel a certain type of way when I see my name, as a number one, when people, are inspired by what I do. It just makes me feel a certain type of way. Like, any sort of, wire hitting my bank account or any sort of money I make, like, money's great, it's a good feeling when you see that wire hit your account, but when somebody tells you they're inspired by you, when somebody tells you that, you made them change their way of thinking, or, what you've done is inspiring, and that's like, more valuable than any sort of money you can make. So I always say my goal is to make millions and inspire millions. But going back to the work ethic, like, if you have talent and you work hard, you're going to be successful. It's a fact. If you have talent, you work hard, and you're in the right vehicle, and you're working with the right people, you will see success, and you will make a lot of money in your life. If you focus on one thing, any business model, doesn't even need to be sales. Like, sales isn't for everybody, right? I always say, like, anybody can sell, but not everyone can be number one. Not everyone can make a lot of money in sales. It's like anything that you do in your life. And also, putting yourself in incredibly difficult situations and seeing how you react is gonna train you to be a fucking beast. Like, actively looking for the harder roles or harder situations, or more challenging, harsher environments is gonna make you like ridiculously better than anybody else that comes across your path. Like, when I first started, I didn't try to look for the easy route. I didn't try to look for the 10K OT close roles. I was organic leads ready to give me their credit cards. I actively pursued the hardest path I could, and what I did in that moment, in those months, made me the salesperson I am today. And I would actually recommend anybody who's starting out in sales, actively look for the hardest position that you can get and try to make it work. Because if you make it work, if you actually get proof of concept in the harshest environment that you can be in, that will give you the self-belief, that will give you the confidence to do anything that you want. Because not many people survive in harsh environments. They basically, not everyone survives in harsh environments. They get thrown in the deep end and they sink. So training yourself to, be put in harsh situations and coming out the other side, again, like I said, these things are not going to make you a bunch of money, in that moment in time, but in the long run, you're going to make a lot of fucking money. But yeah, I just thought I'd, spit some game for you guys. I should make videos more often. I always say that, but the reality is I'm so busy with other things that I do. It is what it is. I don't need to make these videos. I want to, because I want to show you guys the reality, what it really takes to get to an extremely high level in your career at a young age. You guys can go look at my Instagram. From the very fucking first day I basically started closing to now. Not many people have done it like me, and you know, I say this very humbly and respectfully that nobody else in this space is on my level. That's the conviction that you got to move around with. That's the confidence that you got to have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys have any questions for me, you can shoot me a text on IG. You can comment on this video. And yeah, peace out.